Guys, what's up? It is Doug, and welcome to another edition of Spooky Villages. And today we're doing another one of these beginner's guides to theming villages. And today we've got another big topic. This is a very, very popular theme: haunted houses. It was very hard for me to narrow some of these down for a guide, for the prospective newbie, because there are so many of these, and not just so many, but there are so many good ones. There are a lot of choices for this. I tried specifically to narrow these down. I could go on and on about haunted house recommendations. All right, so let's start, just like we've been doing the other ones, with the most affordable option that's available now, in my opinion: the Lemax Spookytown Grimsbury Haunted House. You can have this one for about $50. I don't own this one. I've actually seen it in person, though. It's a nice, I guess we'll call it beginner. That's not really fair, though. Some of the other stuff on this list gets a little bit crazier. This one here is just a lot more tame. It's a solid lit house. There's not a lot going on to it, but outside it looks good. This is more of the traditional style haunted house versus one that's got a bunch of crazy stuff going on. If you just want a really nice little haunted house to start with, this is the choice. There are a few of them out there right now that are on the market, but in my opinion, I think Grimsbury is the best bang for the buck that you could start a haunted house scene around. All right, if you're wanting a showpiece haunted house that's available right now, this one is going to be very collectible in the years to come. It is the Black Raven Manor by Lemax Spookytown. Amazing haunted house. If I did a list of my favorite haunted houses, this one would be on it. Absolutely. I love this building. It's fairly new. I'd imagine that it's going to be in production probably for a couple of years more now. Haunted houses in general seem to have longer production runs than some of the other buildings. It just seems to be that way. But this is a very flashy haunted house. Some of the ones we're going to actually talk about some different categories here lately as I get into the retired buildings, but this one is more of the, very bright, very flashy. It's not super macabre or maybe legit scary, but it looks very cool. There's so many effects here. Lemax has an internal scene in it, very brightly lit. This has, it just has everything you would want in the Lemax Spookytown haunted house, at least what I think of, because I think of their stuff as traditionally, less understated, more in your face. That's kind of what Lemax is popular with. Now, there are a couple Lemax buildings I'm going to talk about that aren't like that, as much. But still, that's in the retired, buildings. But right now, for what's available, I think the Black Raven Manor, absolutely, this is a popular building that I think you should go with. And it's gonna turn a lot of heads. And this is an absolute centerpiece for a scene. I think newbies would like this one. And it's going to be collectible. I know it's going to be collectible in the years to come. Absolutely, the price is going to shoot up on this one. All right, now the fun part, the retired buildings. This one is so tricky. If you're looking for a retired haunted house, there are just so many options. It's ridiculous. But I'm going to try and rein these in. And I'm going to do this by two categories. One is the more realistic, spooky haunted house. The other one is going to be like the Black Raven Manor, the more showpiece, wild, less spooky, but I guess more of just the showpiece, right, with the animation and something that's bright. I know there are two schools of thought. I think both are great. I'm going to start off with the traditional one, and I've got several in this category here. Again, if you want to spend money in this, you can really go down a rabbit hole quick because there's so many available. I would recommend check out the comments below here because people are no doubt going to post their favorite haunted houses. And I'm going to start off actually with another Lemax house. This one is Hollowgraves Manor. This is a building I fell in love with a couple years ago when it was released. It is more of the traditional style, but it's got pulse lighting, a very spooky soundtrack. I think this is a very scary building. Now, it's a little bit smaller, so just be aware of that, but this one doesn't have like the crazy ghosts flying around or a nutty indoor scene, anything like that. It's just a well-lit house that's well-themed, but the soundtrack on it and the pulse lighting definitely will draw attention to it in a display. You could absolutely build a display around this. It would look good because it's smaller, like on a hill with some other accessories maybe built around it. Maybe a house in the woods, something like that. I guess all of these could be houses in the woods, but yes, the Lemax Hollowgraves Manor. I think that one is a good choice. It's been recently retired, so it's not that tough to find. Like some of these, maybe, well, especially one of these that we'll talk about here last. But that would be my pick for one of them. Another one, if you want to go to the Department 56 route, would be the famous Grimsley Manor. This one is beautiful. I have not owned this piece yet. I hope to rectify that this year. This is one of the top retired buildings I have on my personal list. Grimsley Manor is a beautiful, traditional haunted house. When you think haunted house, I feel like you probably, like this would come in your mind, right? The Grimsley Manor is very cool. It's also very spooky, the way the lights and the animation are on this one. Again, I will be doing a review of this within the next year or two. Hopefully this season I can pick one up. I just haven't found a good deal on one. I hope to do that. It's a beautiful building. I love this. It was in production for a long time. I think like 99 to 2009. Pardon me if I'm wrong on that. So it's been available for a long time. So because of that, there's been a lot of them out there. It's not like some of the ones where they only did like 1 year of a production run. Those can be very tricky. In fact, out of all these retired buildings, just looking around on like eBay and stuff before hopping on to do this video, Grimsly is actually one of the most affordable, which is surprising. And I think that also is kind of a statement on how much Lemax Spooky Town, the value on some of them has just shot up, rightfully or wrongly. But if you look on eBay, it feels like Spooky Town's really going up, where Department 56 is kind of held firm in recent years. But Grimsly Manor, beautiful, understated. I think it's a lot of fun. This is actually probably my pick if you want the more traditional style haunted house that's retired. But I wanted to break up the Lemax and Department 56. So let's talk about my last pick here, which is the Lemax Withered Mansion. This is another piece I don't own. I should have bought this a couple years ago when Michaels had them out. Very, very beautiful, very understated. Animation is cool on this one. There's like lightning on it. I love this one. It's another haunted house it's very understated, but it looks like a spooky old manor. It really does. And again, shame on me for not buying this a couple years ago. I don't remember why. I'm sure it was just budget wise, especially on this channel, trying to like buy everything and do all that. It can be tricky. Sometimes I know that whenever it was in Michaels, it was surprising when Michaels had it, but this is one, the value is going up on this one. So if you're wanting one, I would jump on it sooner rather than later. But I think it's a well done, understated Lemax haunted house. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them so far. So those are my pick, guys, for like the traditional style. And when I say traditional, I just mean you don't have all the crazy animation. It doesn't look like a wild cartoon necessarily. A little more understated, even though the ones I just talked about all have lighting, effects, soundtracks, and all that. But I think that'll make sense when I talk about my pick for if you want a wilder haunted house, and my own personal favorite of all time. That is the Lemax Spooky Town Last House on the left. Longtime viewers of the channel here are not going to be surprised by this. I'm sure they're probably like, all right, just get to it, Doug. But seriously, I love this one. This looks like a storybook haunted house. You've got the ghosts, you've got the scenes, the soundtrack even in this, by Lemax standards, I think is pretty good. I just love this building. To me, this is one of the buildings when I saw it. It's a building that I fell in love with immediately, and it's one that is sort of like when I think of Lemax Spooky Town, this is one of the ones that I think Lemax would like have on their Mount Rushmore personally. Unfortunately, the value of this building has skyrocketed. And right now, as I'm filming this, in June, we're in the middle of Spooky Town season, Halloween Village season, so prices are kind of at their highest right now. And I glanced on eBay, and yes, it's just a very expensive house nowadays. But I have to say, I just think it's amazing. I think it's an amazing haunted house. I love this haunted house. If you were a newbie and you wanted to pick a retired building, this would be my choice. If you could stomach the price. If you can get one for a great deal, fantastic. Maybe an alternative. Lemax, a few years ago, they did one called the Grimsly Manor, which is like a tower, but it was very similar to Last House on the Left. I personally don't like it as much because, again, it is more of like the tower versus the actual haunted house, where Last House on the Left is traditional haunted house. But still, maybe that's an option if you don't care so much about the haunted house, but you want the same vibes. But absolutely, guys, Last House on the Left, that would be my choice here if you want the more outlandish style one. And it would go well with like Black Raven Manor, right? I mean, really, Black Raven Manor could be here too. I think that's the best haunted house, the crazy haunted house, at least that Lemax has done since Last House on the Left. Both of them are beautiful, crazy buildings, and they're awesome examples for Lemax Spooky Town haunted houses. So those are my picks, guys. It's tough. This is a tough discussion for this one, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of them on this list, especially the retired buildings. I think there's some just truly, awesome ones out there. I'm really excited to read the comments on this one because there are so many good ones out there. Again, apologies if I left a favorite off the list. This isn't a comprehensive list of haunted houses. It's just what I would recommend for a newbie if they wanted to pick one building to start a display around, if they wanted a given theme. I know there's maybe a little confusion about that. This isn't like a list of all my favorites, but I tried to pick some different criteria and stick with it. Hope you guys have liked this. If you're a newbie, remember, read those comments below because there are some excellent comments that people leave from some very knowledgeable enthusiasts. So it can help you maybe make your choice a little easier, a little more informed. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for watching. I've got more guide videos, more review videos coming up here. We're just getting started as the season is getting hot right now. As I'm filming this in late June and throughout July and August, that's the best time for spooky villaging, right? Because everybody's out buying their buildings being released, people are building displays. It's a lot of fun. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.